What is the difference between in the hospital, at the hospital, and on the hospital? How about in the corner, on the corner, and at the corner? All of those phrases are good grammar. They're okay, but they all mean something different. And if you did not know the answer to those questions, now, today is the class for you, okay? What we are going to do is look at prepositions of place with at, on, and in. Quickly here, we'll do a little overview, then we'll focus on at, with exceptions, of course, on with exceptions, in, not really any exceptions there, and commonly confused words, which I hear all the time, even in very advanced speakers. And a special note about the. And all throughout the class, you will be getting some quiz questions to test what you and I are learning together. And at the very end, it will be a nice, fun test reviewing everything. So you may have learned this before, but everyone needs a little review. I'm pretty sure you won't have this 100% correct, okay? Let's see how we go. First, warm up. Every Thursday, I teach YouTube. Okay, think of your answers at, on, or in. He got bored studying. Home. I'm the hospital with a fever and severe pain. Okay, think about your answers. You can write them down in the chat, at, on, in, on, at, right? And while you are thinking about that, if this is your first time with me, I really want you to understand that during the class, I want you speaking. I'm going to give you some extra pronunciation guides, but I want you speaking, repeating after me, okay? And practicing your pronunciation. You always want to be speaking when you are studying. Super important. All right. Oh, I see that you can't see the sentences. Thank you for updating me. No worries at all. Here are the sentences, okay? Every Thursday I teach YouTube, okay? And he got bored studying home, and I'm the hospital with fever and severe pain. All right, quickly giving you the answers there, okay? Every Thursday I teach on YouTube. He got bored studying at home, and I'm in the hospital with a fever and severe pain. All right, let's go over why. So a brief overview here of looking at this. Very often you will get this triangle where we're talking about at, right? Being very specific, preposition of place. It's an exact point, right? Then we also have on, which is not quite as specific as at, and it's normally to do with a surface or transport or media like this, social media, YouTube. And then we have in, our enclosed spaces, and some other applications, okay? Now, let's get down to the individual ones. At. We use at for when we are talking about buildings or shops, right? I'm at the drugstore. I'm at the reception desk. And I should mention, I put a little asterisk there beside the drugstore because actually in Canada, you can use this and it just means pharmacy. So I know in other languages, if you say drugs, that's purely bad things that you shouldn't be putting into your body, right? But in Canada, you can use drugs interchangeably with medicine, right? I need to take my medicine. I need to take my drugs. Let's go get our medicine at the drugstore. All right. There is a special cultural note for you. Also, the conference center. The conference center. All right. Then we have location descriptions. So this is more specific, right? Where is the dog? At the top of the stairs. Where is my pencil? At the bottom of the photo. Where are you in that book? I'm at the end of the book. Okay. Also, when we're talking about really precise points, very exact, right? The main entrance. I'm at the main entrance. The ticket counter, at the ticket counter where they sell you tickets. Okay. The border crossing. So this is the border where you go to cross. I'm at the border crossing. Events or activities also, right? A seminar, that's like a lecture, okay? And a workshop, a ceremony, like a wedding ceremony, okay? And it's also used for exact addresses, but that's a more complicated common way that people make mistakes. So we're going to focus on addresses later. First, let's test, okay? Exceptions. So sometimes we use at when it's not really at it's not about a specific point. One of the expressions is at sea. So if someone says they are at sea, okay, that means that they are on a ship. They are not standing beside the sea on the sand. No, they are on a ship. Okay. There's also the expressions of at work, at school, and at university. When you use these expressions, it's to say that you are doing something there, right? You can say that you are in a school, but that's more like you are visiting the school, right? But if you're at school, that means you are either a student working there or a teacher, right? I'm at school, I'm working, I'm not just inside the building. So that's very important, okay? Also, at home, this is a common mistake, okay? Yes, you can say at work. That's right. Even if it is in your home office, at work is just kind of more about an activity than anything else, right? What are you doing? I'm at work. I'm working. Yes. So even if you do work in your home, you can still say I'm at work. Yes. All right. But this is a common one. At home, common mistake. People say at the home. Nope. No the. Okay. Just at home. Now let's test your knowledge here. All right. I ate yesterday after the keynote section. I ate at. Which one of these is good for at? Okay. Quickly. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The conference center. Okay. So I ate at the conference center. Okay, easy peasy. Why? Why is that the answer? Why can't you say at the first floor or at Main Street? What's wrong with that? What is wrong? So you can answer the question correct. And I see that there are people with the correct answer. But what's really important is that you know why you give this answer. Because if you don't know why, then what good is it? It's you need to know your English well. So the answer about why is because we use at with buildings or facilities, right? Not necessarily in them, right? But it's just a matter of at that point, right? You can be inside or outside. All right, let's look at the next one. She stayed late at yesterday to finish a report. So is it 1, 2, or 3? Okay, you don't need to write out the word, just write out 1, 2, or 3. She stayed late at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is work. Yes. All right. She stayed late at work. Why though? We just discussed this. All right. The answer is because you use at work, which is a fixed expression. Okay. It doesn't really have, it's not talking about a building. It's just that expression at work, just like at home. It's an expression that stays together. Yay. All right. Next one. All right. We stopped at yesterday while walking through the festival. Be careful of that pronunciation of that word through, walking through the festival. Okay. It's annoying spelling, but the pronunciation is through. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. Our answer is the food truck. And I guess it's kind of obvious with the picture there. This is a food truck, okay? So those portable places that sell you food sometimes. In Canada, you'll see this a lot in the summer in certain tourist areas, but of course, when it's winter, they're gone, okay? So why do we use the food truck? Why can't we say at the sidewalk or at the garden? Which we will learn about before. Remember, at is for specific shops or stands, right? A stand just means it's not really a fixed place like a food truck. You can consider it a stand, right? It's portable. All right. So let's see how you're doing now. We're going to do on. So we've got at. We're getting a bit more general, more or less specific, but not so much. We use on when we're talking about surfaces, okay? So the kitchen counter, right? The kitchen counter is where you cut your vegetables and where everything goes and sits on, right? On the kitchen counter. On the balcony, okay? Not at the balcony, I'm on the balcony. On the rooftop terrace. You can say I'm on the roof, but that's a little bit different than the rooftop, okay? So then when we have public or shared transport, think big vehicles, okay? For example, the plane, I'm on the plane, I'm on the bus, I'm on the subway or on the train, I'm on the ferry, all right? Oh man. So the ferry is a boat, right? A boat that takes you from one place to another, but not just you, it can also take your car. Some ferries take your cars, okay? Next is for technology or media, all right? We have the home page, on the home page, on Instagram. I saw this on Instagram. We have on social media, right? Have you seen English with Meghan Mendoza? She's on social media in Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Yay. and on their website or on our website or something like that. Okay, next we have location description. All right, so on the left, on the right, those are specific. On the first floor. All right, and we're going to talk more about addresses, just like with at. It's always not sure what to do there with addresses, but we will focus on that. Let's look at the exceptions and the special phrases now, okay? So we also use on when we're not talking about a physical surface. For example, on an island. Okay, so technically an island, which is an area surrounded by water, it's not a surface, but in English, we consider it like a surface that we can stand on. So on an island, same idea, on a farm. I live on a farm, right? A land area considered a surface. And also some important expressions: on duty, on strike, on holidays, and on vacation. Okay, on duty means it is your turn to work, right? I can't babysit the children because I'm on duty that day, right? I have to work. Or on strike is when workers are refusing to work because they want better pay or something like that. That's on strike. Now, why did I put a little asterisk star beside holidays? That is because British people will more often say on holidays, whereas American English will more often say on vacation. And it means the same thing, right? I'm on holidays, I'm on vacation. So British and American English there. This is an important one, on the phone. On the phone just means you're using a phone, right? So stop talking, I'm on the phone. All right, now let's do a little test again. So here, there's a beautiful mural painted on downtown. All right, there's a beautiful mural painted. Mural. It's a strange word, mural, with a little Y in there. Mural. And the answer is 1, 2, or 3, guys. 1, 2, or 3. Okay, we have a guess in the chat. The answer is 2. Yes, the wall. This is a mural, by the way. Okay, a mural is painting done on a wall. So you can say on the wall. You can say on the notice board, which is like something on your office where they might put an announcement, right? Like, oh, there's a special meeting at 5. Free food is in the room over there. That's notice board. But we're talking about a wall. You cannot say on the auditorium. That's for in. Okay. Next one. Okay. She saw the announcement on while checking her phone. She saw the announcement on while checking her phone. So is our answer 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1. The home page. The home page. Why though? Yes, the answer is 1. Okay, why is it 1? Why is it the home page? You can say on the classroom, no. On the laboratory, no. Okay, the reason being is that because it is media, technology. Okay, so when we are talking about internet stuff, right, you use on. The home page, the websites, that's right, Nayeli, you got it, websites. That's the reason. Okay, next quiz. He grew up on and helped his parents with the animals. He grew up on and helped his parents with the animals. Is it 1, 2, or 3? All right. 3, 2, 1. It's 3. On a farm. Okay. So why though? Why is it on a farm? We talked about this before, right? That is a specific expression that you have to memorize. Okay. There we go. Next, let's go. Place with in. In, you've probably used this a lot, but are you using it correctly? So as you know, probably enclosed areas, enclosed spaces, they might not have a roof over it. It still might be outdoors, but let's see. The library, in the library, in the garden. So if there's usually a fence around the garden, right? Or a place where the garden is, but it does end. In the backpack, something smaller. Okay, then if there's small transportation, in the car, get in the car. In the van, be careful with that V sound, van. Okay, your lips are not touching each other, it's van. And that a van is like 7 seats. Okay, car is 5. Also in the truck. So this would be a personal truck that someone might have with a big spot on the back where you can put a couch or something. Even if it is a big like commercial truck, right? We still say in the truck. Okay. And in the ferry still works here. It's like on the ferry, which works, but you can also say in the ferry. All right. Then we have water. Okay, so just when we're talking about liquids in general, we say in. Swimming in a lake. In the ocean, there are many fish. I am in the swimming pool. Then for materials that are printed on paper, okay, a book. It's in a book, in a newspaper, in the newspaper, in a magazine, right? And also specifically for places. But we'll talk about that more later, okay? First, let's do a little test. I'm excited because we're coming up to the commonly confused words, and I just want you guys to learn it. Okay, remember, if you're learning things that are new today or if you're making mistakes, don't forget you can download in the description below a whole worksheet about this, okay? And get extra practice. So, she left her backpack in while she went to grab a coffee. 3, 2, 1. The answer is library. All right. So she left her backpack in the library. Why library? Because it is an enclosed space. We have on the balcony and at the reception desk. If you have any questions still here, write your questions in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as possible. Okay? She left her backpack in. She left her backpack in while she went to grab a coffee. We got this in an enclosed space. Next, we decided to meet in after lunch before heading to the museum. Remember, heading to just means going in that direction. Okay. We decided to meet in the bus stop, the garden, or the rooftop terrace. Is it 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, 3. The answer is 2, in the garden. But why? Why though? The reason being is that in is for an enclosed outdoor area, right? With a specific name, in the garden. All right, let's look at this. Super important with addresses. Each address has its little part with its little in, at, or on. So let's review this. So at is for exact addresses. We're talking 251 Main Street. ST is short for street, okay? Maybe you live at 321 and Andres Street. I don't know, okay? But those are very specific. And then we have on with street, road, or avenue name. If there's no number there, right, then we're using on. Like this, for example, on Oxford Avenue, okay? On Oxford Avenue, then, or on, yeah, the store is on Chia Street, okay? And on, we also use it with numbered highways. What? So you should know how we talk about highways in Canada, right, and America. So the I-95, right, that is, it's the name of an interstate, which is what Americans use for highways. So the I-95 goes all the way from the east coast of the USA right to the bottom to Florida. You take the I-95, use the, okay? We also, in Canada, we have the 401. I'm on the 401. The 401 will take you from basically the border, like Detroit, all the way up to Toronto and then to Ottawa. That's the 401, a big highway in Ontario. Okay? And we also use in for cities, areas, and regions. Mexico City, I'm in Mexico City. I am in Asia, right, the continent. And in Ontario, Ontario is a province of Canada. And in for countries, okay? Just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Then, if we're looking at a full address, this has nothing to do with at, on, or in. I just wanted to clarify that when we write an address, when we speak an address, we start with the very specific to the general, right? There are, in some languages, you say, oh, I'm from Canada, Ontario, Toronto. No, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So if you write an address, you would say it like this: 290 Bremner Boulevard, Toronto, Ontario, M5V 3L9, Canada. And that is the address of the CN Tower, which I highly recommend you go and check out. It's absolutely beautiful. All right, now let's look at commonly confused ones. I'm really happy about this one because you just need to know this, okay? And I asked my husband about this the other day, and he was like, oh, I don't know. He took a guess, but he wasn't correct. Not 100%. So we use at the hospital if we're talking about working at the hospital or visiting the hospital or being located at the hospital. I see a question here. Are there any variations? What specific variations are you talking about? About the addresses going from big to small? Just be a bit specific for me, okay? And so, for example, my uncle works as a nurse at that hospital, okay? So he's working. Or I am at the hospital visiting my cousin who has coronavirus or something, okay? Also, here's another sentence. She is visiting her grandmother at the hospital. Grandmother is sick. And then we also have in, which is for a patient that's staying inside the hospital, right? He is in the hospital now. Why? Because of the car accident. All right. We also have a terminology in English. We have one word, inpatient, another word, outpatient. So an inpatient is someone who has to stay overnight in the hospital. An outpatient is someone that comes and then they leave the next day. So you might see a sign in the hospital there that says inpatients this way, outpatients that way, right? Just one word. Okay, now moving on to the store, all right? The store. So we have at the store, right? So when you use at, it's just general location. So you might be talking about inside. You might be saying you're outside. It's like, hey, where are you? Hey, I'm at the store. Okay, right? Could be in, could be out. Meet me at the grocery store on Queen Street. So keep in mind, grocery store, this is more of a North American term. The British side of English, they would say supermarket, but that's not really used in Canada and America. Okay, it's grocery store. And look at the spelling and the pronunciation. Grocery. British people would say grocery, but we say it as grocery. Okay, grocery store. On Pleasant Street, on Queen Street. Then we have in, all right, inside the building, literally. So I'm in the store, okay? I'm in the international store looking for some tortillas, okay? English people will say tortillas. But yes, in Spanish, we know it's tortillas, okay? So I'm looking for some tortillas. And next, we also have the bus. All right. On the bus is what you use when you're talking about public transportation, right? I left my jacket on the bus this morning. I know. That's not good. But in, it's not so common because we use this when it's like a person owns a bus. It might be like a shorter bus, like a 25-seater bus. You can buy buses that are just for 20 seats, 15 seats sometimes, okay? Those ones would be within. Not so common though. So hurry up, Dad is in the bus waiting for us, okay? Then we have street, the street. On, right? On the street is not always actually right on the gray black part of the street. It means more like along the side, right? For example, there are several cafes on that street, which means on the side of the street, not literally where the cars are. Okay, so that's on the street. Then we have in, which is actually where the cars are, right? So in the street space, normally a problem for blocking traffic. For example, the Santa Claus parade is happening. Okay, Santa Claus parade. This is very common around December time in Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Ireland. All of these countries have a Santa Claus parade, some form of Christmas parade in December. And it goes right down the middle of the street. And usually it ends with a big Santa Claus. All right. And this one I mentioned at the beginning, the corner. Okay, we have on the corner, which is where two streets meet, just like in the photo here, right? So there's a house in this picture. There's a tree and a house here on the corner. So there is a pharmacy on the corner of Queen and Yonge. Those are big streets in Toronto, just so you know. Okay, a drugstore. So we often use it for buildings. And then when we're talking about in the corner, we are referring to something that's inside, right? The lamp is in the corner over there by my bed. Okay, and then at, when we're talking about at the corner, it's, okay, you're standing or waiting for someone, right? I'll wait for you at the corner. Okay, so buildings are on the corner inside, it's in the corner, and just standing and waiting for something, that's by a corner, it's at the corner. Confusing, right? How about the bed? This isn't super super confused, but it is important to know. So we have on the bed, which means you're on top of the blanket. So you see this picture of this girl. She is not on the bed, okay? Because those blankets, the yellow blankets with stars, those are on her. So she's not on the bed. I left my laptop on the bed, which means it's not inside the blankets, it's on top, okay? In the bed, it's just like this girl is, right? She's under the blankets, and yeah, usually don't say the. Say, I'm in bed, she's in bed, but on with the bed you need to say. You cannot say on bed. Super bad. Please do not do it, okay? The child is in bed sleeping. Then we have at, which is a position that's like by or near the bed, right? So the dog is laying on the floor at the foot of the bed, okay? At the bed. Okay, now you might have noticed that we've been using the word the a lot. And yeah, it is important to know that because we use that a lot when we're using these at, on, in prepositions. If you are not sure whether to put it or not, then just do it, right? When in doubt, use the. Here are some expressions that are exceptions to the rule, but if you're not sure, just use the. So, on social media, on holiday, on vacation. So, BRE, British English, AME, American English, okay? Then we have these ones: in bed, in class, in prison, in jail, in hospital, okay? Now, I put British English here because if you said in hospital in America, they'd say, what? No, it's in the hospital. So yes, in North America, you need to say the hospital. But the British people, they're lazy. So they just say in hospital. All right. And then we have at home, at work, at school, at university, and at sea. Know the. All right. Now, here's the real test, okay? You have to choose at, on, in, and all of them, both. So there's two options for every question. So you have to choose which one. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Okay, so we have here, the students are waiting the entrance, and their teacher is already the classroom. Okay, 5, 4, put your answer in the chat. 3, 2, 1. At and in. Maybe you got this right. You said it's so easy. Yes, but can you tell me why? Why did you give those answers? If you had to teach it, what would you say? Okay, the reason is, we'll go through this quickly. At is for a precise location, at the entrance. In is for an enclosed space, in the classroom. Okay, if you are not watching this live and I ask you questions, please first pause the video, answer the question, and then you can press play again and see if you get the answer right. If you're with me live though, let's do this, okay? We had dinner, the balcony, and then danced, the salsa bar, until midnight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which is our answer here? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is 5. Yes, Nayeli in the chat, you are doing it. Good. But why? Why? Okay, so our expression is on for an open surface, which would be a balcony, right? Just outside of a room. A balcony, and then salsa bar, right? That's an enclosed space, but if it's in a venue, that's also, right? You could say like the wedding or something like that, right? Danced at the wedding. It's an activity or an event. Okay, let's continue. All right, she read the article, the newspaper, while sitting the bus to work. What do we got here? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The answer is number 4, on. In the newspaper, why? On the bus, why? We use in, remember, plus printed material, right? If you're printing something out in a printer, which is, I actually got a printer right here. Ta-da! Okay. If you're printing something out in a printer, then we use in. Okay. On, remember, is for the public transport, on the bus, on the train, on a subway. Next one. The family arrived the airport early, but their flight was the schedule as delayed. All right, so let's see, what's our answer? Put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 in the chat. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The answer is 1. All right, at the airport early and on the schedule, which means like on the TV there. Okay, so why though? Why? Why at the airport? Why on the schedule? Because at is for a specific point. It can mean in front of it, just outside, or it can mean inside, right? Here in this case, they're not actually inside, they just arrived there at a precise point. And we also have on because it's used for schedules, lists, timetables, okay? It's on the schedule. And then our next test here, he spent the afternoon relaxing in the garden and later swam in the swimming pool. What is our answer here? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. He spent the afternoon relaxing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is in and in. Both in this time. But why? Why? Because we use in for enclosed spaces, right? Or surrounded areas like a garden, and for water, in the river, in the lake. Okay, good. Next one. There's a small pharmacy, the corner, and my aunt works the reception desk there. So what is our answer? There's a small pharmacy, the corner. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The answer is on and at, on the corner, at the reception desk. Good job. I see some correct answers in the chat. Yay for Miss Marin. Okay. And why though? If you can get the answer right, okay, good. But why? Okay, why is this the right answer? Because on is for buildings at an intersection. Buildings, like a pharmacy, right? A precise point is or at a reception desk. Okay, good work with that. Next one. The news is their website and social media. What is our answer here? What are our answers? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 5, on and on. But why? The answer is actually the same for these ones. Digital platforms, right? Media technology. Anything on the web, we use on with. Okay? Yes. If you're my age and you didn't learn this when you were a kid, learning English, that's probably because we didn't have this when you were a kid. It's not on it's not on the it's not in the textbooks, right? There is no digital platforms. All right, let's go. That is actually the end of everything today. Okay, so super good job today. If you've made it here, that's awesome. That means that you are really trying hard with your English. You're making the right choices, moving in the right direction. I recommend that you keep doing exactly what you're doing, okay? In the chat below, there is a document with all of this information that I just gave you and some extra tips, extra help, extra practices. Okay, so download that to keep this on file. And I'll see you next Thursday at the same time. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye bye.